evening and welcome to Champions League Live as we start the second legs of our quarter-finals. 8 teams remain but only 4 can progress, and tonight we watch an Aston Villa side hoping for a comeback miracle at Villa Park against a PSG side who might be one of the dark horses to lift this trophy come the end of next month. PSG have a 3-1 lead taking into this game after their 3-1 win last Wednesday evening in the Parc des Princes. But Villa will have the hope of Villa Park and its inherent ability to pull off some remarkable outcomes and results in big games of football. This is when you need to call upon stadiums like this for the biggest results and the biggest nights in the footballing calendar. Also this evening, a little less hope for Borussia Dortmund as they welcome their side back from a 4-0 thrashing in Barcelona last week. That looks very unlikely, but you never know. This is the Champions League. No one's ever done that before, but it is not out of the realms of possibility. Tonight, it's an English side, an Aston Villa, who are in this competition for the first time in over 40 years this season, and they want to be a semi-finalist. As Unai Emery did with Villarreal a number of seasons ago, they went to the semis. He wants to do the same with Aston Villa, and what a story it would be if that is the case. What a comeback it would be if they were able to complete it tonight. But a PSG side that are very used to falling at the hurdles, and when they come, slipping up and not getting the job done. But this season, this is a different PSG side. They're possessed with something different, and they might just have a different outcome coming their way. A very good evening. Welcome in to Champions League Live with me, Kevin Ferris. Aston Villa against PSG, our feature game tonight, alongside Dortmund and Barcelona, taking place in Signal Iduna Park this evening as well. We'll keep you up to date with both. Of course, our commentary game is here at Villa Park. Let's have a look and see what way the Champions League quarterfinals look then. After this last week's results, Arsenal 3-0 winners against Real Madrid. We'll watch those two go loggerheads tomorrow night. Bayern Munich narrowly beaten by Inter Milan last Tuesday evening. Barca 4-0 victors over Dortmund, and PSG taking a 3-1 lead into this game tonight against Aston Villa. Well, without further ado, let's have a look at the teams then. Starting with the home side, Aston Villa. They've got a monumentous task on their hands tonight. Let's see if they can complete it. Here are the 11 that will try and do it from the start. Emi Martinez starts in goal. A back four of Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa, Pau Torres and Luca Digne in defence. Boubacar Kamara and Amadou Onana are in midfield, with a front four of Yuri Tielemans in the 10, John McGinn the captain on the left-hand side of a front three, Morgan Rogers on the right, and Marcus Rashford leading the Villa line. On the bench for the home side, Olsen, Proctor, Disasi, Mings, Maatsen, Bogard, Barkley, Bailey, Ramsey, Watkins and Asensio. For Paris Saint-Germain, the job is simple. As long as they don't lose by 2 goals, they are through. It's that simple. Gigi Donnarumma starts in goal. A back four of Achraf Hakimi, Marquinhos, who captains the side, returning to the side this evening. Pacho starts alongside him with Nuno Mendes at left back. A midfield three that has been ruthless in the Champions League in Europe this season. Vitinha, João Neves and Fabian Ruiz are the midfield three, with a front three of Bradley Barcola, Vika Kvaratskhelia, who unleashed his quality last week in the Parc des Princes, and the leading goal scorer in Europe in 2025, Ousmane Dembele, leads the line. On the bench for PSG, Safonov, Tenas, Kimpembe, Hernandez, Beraldo, Doué, Lee, Mayulu, Zaire-Emery, Ramos and Mbaye. It's Villa, it's PSG, it's the Champions League quarter-final second leg at Villa Park. Kickoff is next. A very good evening and welcome to Champions League Live this evening. For this one, our first of 2 quarterfinals, second legs this midweek in the Champions League that we will have you right up to date with. Both involving English teams, and tonight it's the turn of Aston Villa. Can they can they complete what would be a remarkable comeback and knock out one of Europe's top teams this season and try and book their place in the Final Four. It's well within the realms of possibility. It's only a 2-goal deficit, and that is by far and away well within the realms of possibility of coming back from. But you never know. Anything is possible in Europe, and this Villa crowd are pumped up for this tonight like they probably have never been pumped up in the last 40 years of this club's history. They've been a sleeping giant for too long. It's about time they were awoken, and the noise inside this ground would waken any sleeping giant in world football, and that's being made from both sets of players, both sets of fans, I suggest. Digne on the left hand side here for McGinn, struggling to keep it in, but he does really well. John McGinn drags the defender out with him and wins the corner for Aston Villa. First set piece of the game. This is what Villa need. They need a strong start. They need to kind of pin their authority on this PSG defence, make them intimidated, give them a reason to be nervous. This is what they need to do. An early corner will certainly help in that cause. So already trying to have a bit of fun with Gigi Donnarumma and make him feel claustrophobic. Corner whipped in, flicked on the near post, and out the other end it goes. It will be another corner. My goodness, great delivery, deep across the front post by Yuri Tielemans, and it was flicked on at the front post and bounces just over and behind and out the other end off a PSG player, and another Villa corner. This crowd are all up for this. So are Villa. Another cross in. Rashford with a corner. Flicked in the air by Onana. Brought down by Tielemans. Back to Rashford. Lovely first touch. Rashford breaking into the box. Couldn't quite find the extra pass, but they're still alive as PSG clear the lines, and there's just no way for them to escape as Villa recycle the ball back to Emi Martinez. We already see the intensity from Aston Villa inside these first 3 minutes, just penning PSG into their own defensive third, and that will be something they'll want to continue to do right throughout this evening if they're going to have any chance. It's funny, actually, I was reading something and I was looking back at, big comebacks in Europe, and it's really funny that 8 years ago, almost 8 years to the day, that PSG and Barcelona met in the Champions League. On Unai Emery's side, PSG had a 4-goal lead heading into that game at the Nou Camp. And Luis Enrique's Barcelona came back and won that game. That was that remarkable comeback in 2016. And it's quite funny that Unai Emery was the PSG manager that night, and he's now having to do it with his new team in Aston Villa against his former side, and also against the manager that beat him that night from that remarkable position in Luis Enrique. So there's a lot of parallels and a lot of history between the two managers and between PSG and comebacks. PSG have never been able to climb the mountain, never been able to do it. They've always slipped, they've always fallen. Is this the season that changes all that? Or can Villa once again be another demon that absolutely compounds PSG back to European failures? Here is Rashford spinning off the front line. Onana with a bit of a forced pass, but he gets a bit of luck on the rebounds. Goes back to Konsa, who gives it back to Martinez. Down the line it goes, but McGinn couldn't keep it. And the opposing captains there tussling for the ball. Here's Marquinhos into Vitinha. Right the other end it goes to Nuno Mendes. Back to Pacho. Just fizz it back across to Vitinha. Villa so intense in their press out of possession. Onto every single loose touch from PSG, and Matty Cash there once again, right on top of Nuno Mendes when he took a heavy touch. This is the type of start that Aston Villa need. I welcome everybody in the chat. Do get your comments in. Do give us your thoughts, what you think about this game. Who do you think's going to win? And who are you backing? Oh, a bit of a hesitation from the Villa centre-backs here as the ball comes across. Crucial clearance by Digne. Then across again. Digne heads it away. And now, Kamara forces it to Cash, who clears his lines. PSG can catch Villa out, although Villa's done really well there, winning it back high up the field, but not able to progress it very far there with Morgan Rogers. And it goes back to the PSG keeper, Donnarumma. Hakimi thought he was fouled, but no foul, said the referee. Just eased to the ground there by the Villa pressure. McGinn. Nice ball, fizz towards Rogers, controlled it well, finds Kamara. Spins one out wide to Cash. Good first touch inside. A little bit caught by Barcola, but he does well to just settle back down with his goalkeeper. And one thing tonight, I think both teams will take solace in going back to their goalkeeper. And the main reason is they've both been on the highest level. They've both been in games of the highest level in European and world football. You know, Gigi Donnarumma, that Euros final, he was the hero in that campaign, and he was in that pressured moment in a penalty shootout against England to win the Euros. Of course, Emi Martinez winning the World Cup with Argentina in another penalty shootout. So these two goalkeepers know what it feels like to have the highest level of pressure put on them at international level. It's just how they deal with it at a club level. And I think a lot of the other players that weren't in that position will kind of feed off that tonight. That's a lovely ball by Rogers. Here's a nice through ball to Rashford, who was just beaten a little bit for pace by Marquinhos, but he's won it back. And he wins Aston Villa a throw in. That's fabulous work from Marcus Rashford. Again, it was beautiful play. Morgan Rogers squeezing it between the lines to Tielemans, and Tielemans through ball right to Rashford. And they didn't give up in trying to win it back. And now here's Barcola. A bit of space down the left here for PSG. Boos ring around Villa Park. Barcola, edge of the box. Shoved off the ball, but all ball, says the referee. No foul. Letting things flow, the referee this evening. Jose Maria Sanchez Martinez is our referee, the Spanish referee. It's his 16th game refereeing in the Champions League. He's letting things go, the referee, early doors here in this one. So they've given it away again, PSG in the middle. Villa return the favour there with Tielemans. Out wide it goes now to Barcola. Inside to Ruiz. Back out wide to Bradley Barcola. Switches it back inside to Vitinha. Hakimi. Vitinha again. I think for PSG, just settling the game down, trying to eradicate the noise of the crowd will be utmost importance for them tonight. You know, not allowing the crowd to play an impact. And already we've seen the impact that the crowd can make, and that noise that just emanates around the stadium. It just creates that cauldron-like atmosphere. So much pressure can be put on an opposing team and an away team in that sort of atmosphere. But for PSG, if they want to just override that, all they need to do is just basically get good touches of the ball, slow the game down, just take the tempo out of the game completely, and just keep the ball on the ground as best as possible. And they will kind of zap the energy of the crowd. But when they try and play it too quickly and give it away, it just energises this Villa crowd even more. Look at the one-touch football there. Beautiful. Here's Rashford off the left side. Tried to step inside. Well blocked by Marquinhos, who stepped out there well. And now Villa might have a break to deal with here, because Barclay's got free space down the left side and plays it across. Martinez palms it out, but it's forced into the back of the net by Achraf Hakimi. A bit of confusion at the back from Aston Villa. And Achraf Hakimi's there to pick up the pieces. I said about how they would need to rely upon the experience of their goalkeeper tonight, Villa. Well, he has just given them an absolute howler to look back on. PSG have been gifted, absolutely gifted, an early goal. And it's all down, you would have to say, to just complete miscommunication. Again, it all comes from the very front. PSG defending in their own final third, and they just get out. They have that outlet. Barclay's had that space so early in the first 10 minutes or so, and he just bursts down the left side. There's no Villa player tracking him, and he just gets the ball right across the 6-yard box. The keeper doesn't know whether to come for it. He does. The defender, Pau Torres, leaves it, so it causes a bit of confusion between the two, and Achraf Hakimi sneaks around the backside and gets it in, takes a deflection off Martinez, but he'll be gifted and be loving that goal, Achraf Hakimi. And that is exactly what Villa didn't need, but exactly what PSG needed, especially at such a crucial time in the game when Villa were threatening. It is Aston Villa 0, PSG 1, and PSG lead 4-1 on aggregates. There we are. Well, it's quite ironic that I mentioned about how much the goalkeepers would be asked tonight and how much they will need to play their part for their teams, and the goal for PSG comes from an error involving a goalkeeper. There we are. It's a long way to go, though. Here comes Barcola again. They really need to figure this out, Villa. There's so much space for Barcola down that left-hand side. He's just haven't playing free roam. I mean, there's no one there to try and combat him whatsoever. He's the outball time and time again for PSG. There's Vitinha. Back to Marquinhos. Already a goal has been scored in Signal Iduna Park as well. And it's not the way of a complete demolition job. It's the way of a unbelievable comeback if it was to happen. Borussia Dortmund have taken the lead. Serhou Guirassy, their main man this season, especially in the Champions League. The experience, that's his 11th Champions League goal of the season for Serhou Guirassy. And he has given Borussia Dortmund a 1-goal lead on the night. And it's 4-1 there on aggregate. Sam says PSG will get the dub. I need Barca to win also, but they're down 1-0. Well, do you need them to win in 90 minutes? That's the question I would ask. Do you need them to win in 90 minutes? Because if you do, well, yeah. But I don't think they'll be worried about winning in 90 minutes. They've got a 4-goal lead. But already, an early goal for Dortmund might cause them a little bit of a worry. Sounds like, yeah, 90 minutes. Well, I have work to do then. Barcola that time was offside, which will give the Villa defence a little bit of respite. Well, just a bit of information for you as well. There is a couple of players tonight, I always do it, about possible suspensions for the next game, which would be a possible semi-final first leg for either of these two teams. And just as PSG have the ball there, Villa have 4 players in their squad tonight that, if they are booked, would miss a possible semi-final first leg. That would be Rashford, Digne, Kamara and Disasi. So 3 of them in the starting 11 tonight for Villa. For PSG, just 1 player in their whole squad, Fabian Ruiz. If he was to get booked tonight, he would miss the first leg of the semi-final. If they were to progress, of course. Of course, a long way to go. And of course, that goal will settle PSG, no doubt about it. They'd really struggled so far, but they were relying upon the outlet of Bradley Barcola down that left-hand side. He was their outball. He was the player that had the space to just carry it up the field, to get it out of the PSG final third. And he did it so well early doors. It was kind of like they were building up to do it, to getting the goal. They were just testing him every now and again. Well, here, go an extra 10 yards. And it was increasing his distance every time he got forward. And then eventually, when it came to the goal, he just burst down that left side. And just no one tracked him. I mean, I don't know why no one tried to come out. There was 3 Villa players back, so they had more than enough to cover over. They should have just dragged him across, pushed him out wide. You knew that what he was going to do. He wasn't going to try and come inside. He was always going to try and get the cross in, as he'd done it previously in the game. Again, it doesn't make up for the confusion of the goalkeeper, who should have just come and claimed it, really. Decided to not, and then his defender left it, and then it just fell sweetly for Achraf Hakimi. He's always in those positions, I gotta say, Achraf Hakimi, the Moroccan. He's only scored 1 Champions League goal this season. He has 5 assists in the Champions League. That was only his 2nd Champions League goal of the campaign. The only other Champions League goal was a crucial one, and they drew 1-1 with PSV in the league phase earlier in the campaign back in October. That's his only Champions League goal other than tonight's goal for Achraf Hakimi. And the Moroccan has PSG leading on the night, and 4-1 to the good on aggregate. Here's Digne. McGinn now. Whip it in, blocked. Carried away by Kvaratskhelia. Again, well closed out by Amadou Onana, who recycles back to his goalkeeper. Well, he'll be one player amongst a whole raft of players that Unai Emery would have wanted Villa to do better marking-wise this week. That's a lovely touch. Beautiful touch here down the right-hand side. Rodgers, edge of the box. Not given the time to shoot. Rashford was trying to make a nuisance of himself. And PSG just clear their lines. McGinn. They are able to be got at here so far, PSG. They're not invincible so far. Villa are starting to find a few gaps. That's a lovely ball. Rashford couldn't get the touch around the man. He will get the corner though. That's a good good bit of defending there from Willian Pacho. Got his foot in and blocked Rashford. Settled it out for the corner. There is threat in this Villa team, no doubt about it. Caused problems in these early moments. And Rashford to deliver his 3rd corner of the night. Right footed. There's across the front post. Headed away of danger. Kamara keeps it alive. Digne. Body's still arriving in the box. Digne's whipped cross. Headed away to the back post. Brought down by McGinn, who whips it back into the mix. And the header's in the air from Konsa, but it's not much direction on it. As the shot there from Pau Torres. Clean strike as you like. Forced a great save off Donnarumma. And now the flick on here. Rashford across the box. Blocked by Marquinhos. Cries of handball. Again, the referee not moving. VAR will check it, of course, but it's relentless in moments from Villa. Getting the bounce of the ball. They're doing well in these moments. Just need to find the net. Again with a lovely ball over the top. Rashford off the back line, and Marquinhos. And Marquinhos making the challenge, but I think the offside flag was going up anyway against Marcus Rashford. See that again. It's not great clearing from PSG. They allow it to bounce back into their own box. And Pau Torres, what a strike from a centre-back on the spin. I mean, a striker would be over the moon with that shot. And it was a fabulous turn with his left foot. Strikes it clean as you like. It's a very good save in the end by Donnarumma. that will certainly give give Villa a lot of confidence. The fact that they're getting in those areas, they are causing problems, and they do look a major threat. There is that. But that's what PSG have got, that killer instinct up the other end. Just to nick a goal from nothing. That's what they can do to you. And they've always been capable of it. You know, it's not something new with PSG, the fact that they do have that killer instinct. They always have had that instinct, I think, in the final third. It's just they haven't been able to do it in the big moments. You know, when they've been needed to be called upon, they've always fallen at that final hurdle. And, you know, I remember watching them under Thomas Tuchel the year they actually got to the final. I thought this could be their year. They're really tearing teams apart. And I think even in that game against Bayern Munich, I would say they were the better side. But what matters in a Champions League final is finding the back of the net. And on that occasion they didn't. And they fell again at the final hurdle. And I think this season, if any, is probably going to be their best opportunity if they want to get back to the Champions League final. And look, it's still a young side, and there's a lot of growing to come from this PSG team. But, you know, this season we've seen a difference in PSG. They're not the same old that we used to see in the Champions League that would crumble under any sort of pressure. I think this is a really strong, resilient team that have got a fine mix of experience, but also that youthful desire and the lack of kind of nerves that youthful players and younger players have. Here's one of them, Barcola. Whips it into the box, deep to the back post. Ashraf Hakimi brings it down. Cuts it back to Kvaratskhelia. Does well to just lay it off to Vitinha. Now out wide to Barcola again. Trying to go for the link up with Nuno Mendes, who steps away from one challenge, but Kamara gets him the second time round. And ends up being caught there, Boubacar Kamara, and gets the free kick. But it's kind of like we see a different PSG this season. A much more resilient, much more well-managed team that aren't afraid. They embrace the pressure, if anything. And I think one game that I think really hammered at home was the game against Man City in the league phase, when the pressure was on them to try and get themselves into the knockouts at all, and they were 2-0 down against Man City, and you thought, this is it, they're done. And they came back, and they fought back, and they gave everything they could to win that game, and they did. They won 4-2. But it was the resilience and the comeback ability, that ability to go, you know, we're not done in this game, we're going to come back. And I think what we've seen from PSG before is when they were if they would have went 2-0 down in previous seasons in that position, their heads would have dropped. But they didn't that night, and I think that's caused the difference. Goodness me, Morgan Rogers had a decent effort there. My goodness. Got to see that one again. Lovely little footwork from Morgan Rogers. Completely spun Willian Pacho and trying to curl it to the bottom left corner. Just carried it a little bit wide. I think Donnarumma was beaten if it had found the accuracy. And it was not too far away. He's one man that can unlock this PSG defence if there is any in this Villa team tonight. Is Morgan Rogers. He's got that ability. What a buy he was for Aston Villa. What was it, a season and a half ago now? And this season he has absolutely flourished tenfold under Unai Emery, the 22-year-old. Absolutely sensational player. Joined in February of 2024 for £7.8 million. I mean, you won't get a better quality player for that amount of money in Premier League football nowadays, in European football nowadays. He's had some season. His first full season at Aston Villa. And my goodness, it's one to remember. He scores in the big moments, and that's what's important. He scored last week. Here's Luca Digne. Feeds it down the line. Onana, byline, cuts it back. Blocked well by Marquinhos and clears it away. Hakimi now. Under pressure from Digne. Not given the space to go as Lucadinha comes up against a team from his home country. 31-year-old Frenchman. One of his former teams as well. He was at PSG for 2 years back in 2013, Lucadinha. Was bought from Lille. Came through at the Lille youth setup, did Lucadinha. Hold on a second here as tried to squeeze a little bit through there, Ousmane Dembele. He was well blocked off by Ezri Konsa. Yeah, spent this time in PSG in the 2013 to 2015 before joining Roma on loan. Then moved to Barcelona in 2016. Did Lucadinha. And then of course Everton and now Aston Villa for the last 3 seasons. 3.5 seasons. Another great talent was Lucadinha. Now one of the old and experienced players is the better word than old. The experience of the 31-year-old will more than help Aston Villa tonight. Here's Donnarumma. Villa very intense in their press. Look at this, and it's worked out. So Nana, he beat Marquinhos, but he had cover. And now look at this from PSG, 4-on-2. Here comes it down the right-hand side with Dembele across. The shot, 2-0. Great goal by Nuno Mendes. One full-back scores, and then the other does exactly the same. And that should really be that now, you would feel. 2-0 down, 5-1 in aggregate. PSG are not giving this one up tonight. When you thought they were nervous and caught out at one end, they come up and snatch it right back. And still a 2-goal lead at Villa Park. They've not needed to be anywhere near their best so far. But what they certainly have been is clinical when their chances have come their way. They were caught out in their own box. They got a bit of luck, got a good bounce of the ball, and it ends up turning into a 4-on-2 on the counter-attack. It's a great move down the right-hand side. Ousmane Dembele leading the charge, cuts it across the box, and there to finish absolutely sweetly was Nuno Mendes. Takes the touch with the left and just sweeps it inside of the left post. Absolutely gorgeous finish. And both of PSG's fullbacks showing up tonight. And Aston Villa will feel the ruthless nature of the Champions League biting incredibly and aching so hard on their hearts. Villa 0, PSG 2. PSG lead by 5-1 on aggregate. Wow. What can you say? Other than they've just been clinical, PSG. I've dropped my pen and everything now. They've just been clinical. I mean, they've had 2 shots, 2 on target, 2 goals. I mean, you're not going to beat a team like that. No matter how good you play, no matter how much atmosphere you create. When you give them, and they get 2 big chances, and they take them, there's very little you can do about that. Here's Rodgers, though. Villa haven't given up hope yet. Might be ever so unlikely. But nothing is done until it's done. And that's the important factor to remember here. It's not done until it's done. But it will look incredibly difficult now for Aston Villa. Even on their best of form, this might just be beyond them. What a long time it's been since Villa took the lead at the Bac de France last week. How long ago does that feel now? When Morgan Rogers opened the scoring and Villa dared to dream. And their dreams are coming crashing down bit by bit as every PSG goal finds the back of the net. Well. Here's Vitinha, and they want to add more here, PSG. Here's Barcola down the left-hand side. Lovely little give and go there. Barcola trying to go himself. Well closed out in the end by Pau Torres. And now Camara with a clearance. Trying to find any sort of hope with Rashford, although the second ball won here by Youri Tielemans. Rogers. Back to Rashford. Rashford in the box. Trying to squeeze it through to McGinn. Beaten out of the box there. Here's Rogers to pick up the loose ball though. But he was coming back from an offside position. Well, Villa have been on some form since their 4-1 defeat against Crystal Palace at the end of February. They have won 8 successive games in all competitions before last week's defeat to PSG. Domestically, they've won 9 in a row in FA Cup. If we discount the PSG games, they've won 9 of their last 10 games, which is remarkable for Aston Villa. No disrespect to Villa whatsoever, but that is just a remarkable run of form. PSG, I mean, they've got a run of form of their own they've got to worry about. We actually did a graphic for it, if I can get those graphics up for you. Yeah, here it is here. So this is the Villa graphic. I'll show you the PSG one first, because I think that's more interesting. The defeat to Liverpool in the first leg of the round of 16 for PSG. It's the only game they've not won in 17 matches, and their only defeat in 30 games. Won 25 and drawn 4 of the other 29 games. I mean, that's mental. Here's Rashford into the box. Oh, it's caught. But what has actually happened there was Youri Tielemans caught. I think he felt so. The Belgian. The referee didn't see anything untoward, but well, VAR. Gotta see a replay. Looked like they'd squeezed a way through there, Villa, and Youri Tielemans ended up on the ground somehow. Doesn't look like VAR are gonna make any recommendations, and we'll just play on, but it'd be nice to see a replay of the situation. Kvaratskhelia run into nobody there. Now given away. Here's Tielemans on the break. 3-on-4 here for Villa. Lovely little work by Rashford. Lovely close control. Tielemans inflection off William Pacho, I believe. And Villa have got one back. Maybe the slimmest of margins of hope. But when you've got hope, you've got something to hold on to. And you've got a chance. And if there's any team in Europe you would feel you have a chance against in previous seasons, it would be PSG. A different story this season, but Villa might have their own story to write tonight. They're a long, long way away from doing it, but they've got one step in the right direction. Lovely close control play, beautiful approach play round the box. Fabulous touch by Rashford. Fine back to McGinn. McGinn feeds it wide to Tielemans, and Tielemans gets the effort. It takes a deflection. I don't know whether it will be an own goal or a Tielemans goal, but at the moment, Villa don't care who's got it. All that matters is that they've got it. Villa 1, PSG 2, and on aggregate, it's still 5-2 to PSG. Oh my goodness. My goodness. I mean, you never know. You never know. Anything's possible. PSG now a bit dilly-dally at the back here. Mendes. Oh, right across his defence. That's a shocking pass. McGinn. Brought down Hakimi there by McGinn. McGinn wanted the foul, but Hakimi's going to get it, and I think that's the right decision. McGinn tried to hold off Hakimi and actually pushes him to the ground. It is a foul on Achraf Hakimi there. He just got back in, defended. Yeah, it's a collision, and then he's holding him there, John McGinn. I think that's the correct decision from the referee to give a foul there against the Villa captain. My goodness. Ooh. Ooh. Is that a little bit of a kick out there from Hakimi? I think it is. He's very lucky that he didn't make contact, because my goodness, that was a kick out and a half. Whether he was trying to push John McGinn off him, but you don't want to kick out. You give the referee a question to answer there, no matter what you do. Don't know about that. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, I understand that Achraf Hakimi's trying to get John McGinn off him here, but it's just use your hands, use your arm, get yourself up. Don't boot him. Don't try and kick him. He was a bit lucky, but very lucky there, Hakimi, that he didn't make any clean contact. If he did, it was a definite red card and he was gone. But he was a bit lucky. This is how a goal can change a game of football. From PSG, 2-0 up on the night, 5-1 up and cruising. And Villa just get one back. Bit of luck, slice of luck, bit of a deflection. And that might just turn this game. Again, still a big mountain for them to climb if they're to do it, Villa. But they have the belief now. They found the net once. Why couldn't they do it again? And that's something, and the belief they need to hold on to. Here's Kvaratskhelia. To Vitinha. And Marquinhos across to Pacho. And kick over the top from Marquinhos. Bouncing ball there. Oh, Torres was trying to play a little bit about. Ousmane Dembele was on the scene, but cleared away by Villa. One back though by Hakimi. Now Ruiz. Nuno Mendes, and crucial for PSG just to settle this game back down again. Do you know what I mean? Not allow Villa to conjure up this level of atmosphere back again. Just settle down. Maybe just see this out to half time, maybe, if you're a PSG player. Their record against English clubs isn't too great for PSG, although they've won 11 times, but overall they've played English teams 34 times in the Champions League, and they've lost 14 of those 34 games, drawn 9, won 11. They've conceded more than they've scored. And here tonight, they might want to add another one. The shot from Ruiz is right down the throat of Emi Martinez. And trying to send Villa on a counter. McGinn finding Rashford. There's space here for Marcus Rashford down the left-hand side. He's breaking forward. Rashford gets himself in the box. Can't find a way around William Pacho. But he will win the throw-in for Aston Villa. Away from home against English teams, PSG. 1-4, drawn 4, lost 9 of their total 17 away games against English teams. Now, of course, that might be a bit skewed by the fact that if they lost tonight, it still wouldn't guarantee they were losing the tie overall they lost 3-2 tonight, for example, they'd still be going through on aggregate scoreline, of course. That might be a little bit skewed. Lucadini with a long throw into the box. Header cleared away. Again, Villa keep it alive as Digne fizzes one. Can Pau Torres keep it in there on the far side? He can. Against Ruiz, reverses it into the box. Nice layoff by Ezri Konsa. Nice 1-2. Konsa in the box, another deflection. Oh, it's kept alive. Onana keeps it going. Digne whips it in again. Too high that time. Villa again, still knocking on the door. They are really knocking on this door, and they're sustaining attacks, which is important. And they're really nice combinations. That's a lovely 1-2 between Rodgers and Ezri Konsa. It's just unfortunate. The shot ends up taking a deflection and going wayward there, but they are still causing problems here, Aston Villa. Kvaratskhelia brought down there by his opposite number, John McGinn, who's going to get himself a yellow card, the Villa captain. Yeah, it's quite obvious that was a yellow card. Kvaratskhelia had already passed the ball long before John McGinn was on the scene. It was just a bit of a cynical one from the Villa captain. And yellow card goes his way. Orange Tuxedo, love that name. Orange Tuxedo says, I'm a Villa fan, but we won't win. Well, you never know. You never know. Anything's possible in the Champions League. I would just say that. There have been too many comebacks in the Champions League over the last number of years to ever rule anyone out. Albeit, I don't doubt, still a mountain for Villa to climb. And I don't doubt that, no chance at all. I don't doubt that whatsoever, but when there's a will, there's a way. Here's Kvaratskhelia. We just need to stop PSG scoring. If they close up the back a little bit better, Villa, and keep that real positivity up front they've shown in this first half, they really do have a chance. I do believe that. And I'm sure Unai Emery will still believe. Nothing's done until it's done. So that's a foul there by Yuri Tielemans. Free kick to PSG. All over the top here, straight from the free kick. And Bele can't get on the end of it. It's going to be an offside flag anyway against the Frenchman. As Villa look to get it moving quickly from that set piece. About a minute or so of the first 45 to go. Digne. Tielemans. Good for the switch ball. Spins it out wide to Cash. Chests it in nicely. Spins round his man and Bradley Barcola. It's a good tussle that between those two down that right side. So here is Torres with the top. Kamara. Good touch. Finding the space here for Rodgers. Couldn't squeeze past Nuno Mendes. And now the breakaway for PSG is on again. 1, 2, 3, and now here's Ousmane Dembele, and behind the flag stayed down. Dembele! Over the bar, and it was offside anyway. Yeah, see it again. It was Bradley Barcola, won the ball back. Nuno Mendes continued his run down the left and played the ball first time. And then Dembele was slightly offside there. Here's Rashford. Digne. Onana. to Kamara. Through the lines. On the spin was Rodgers, but again couldn't hold up the ball. Nicked away by the PSG midfield, and Vitinha plays a nice ball for Barcola down this left-hand side. It's a 5-on-5. So lots of bodies from both teams striding towards the Villa box. Here's Barcola. Lots of bodies in the way and has to return it backwards. 1 added minute at the end of the first half. Here at Villa Park, Villa 1, PSG 2. 5-2 to the French champions on aggregates. Still Dortmund leading Barcelona by a 0-0 in Germany. Of course, Barca have a 4-goal advantage coming into the tie tonight, so still a 3-goal lead. 4-1 on aggregate for Barca, so they're in no immediate danger. But by far have Dortmund been the better side in that first half and probably should have another goal at the least. As there's the first half whistle. The first half coming to an end. Half-time whistle from the referee from Spain, and so far it is the French champions that lead the way pretty comfortably on aggregate. But on the night, Villa have shown threat and shown opportunities where they can still fight back in this game. They just need to stop PSG at one end and continue their positive form at the other. Half-time at Villa Park in this quarter-final second leg. It's Villa 1, PSG 2 on the night. 5-2 to PSG on aggregate. We'll analyse the first half and how the Champions League is setting up this season when we come back. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Champions League Live. Half-time at Villa Park. It's Villa 1, PSG 2, but PSG lead 5-2 on aggregate. After that first half, Achraf Hakimi and Nuno Mendes forced PSG into a 2-goal lead after 27 minutes, but rescuing one back was Yuri Tielemans with the help of a deflection, getting Villa one back before half-time, and they're still within 3. Seems positive. 3 goals, the gap between the two teams on aggregate overall. Villa, of course, know the job. They need to win by at least 2 goals tonight to bring it to extra time. If they win by 3 goals or more, they will win the tie outright. If PSG fail to lose, they can lose, but if they lose by 1 goal, they win. PSG overall in the tie, and anything other than a win for Villa would see PSG through to the semi-finals. So that's the way we stand at half-time. And I'd have to say, and Drizzle VR says in the chat there about the defending from Aston Villa. And in my opinion, I think it was really good clinical play from PSG, but I would say there is blame to be put on Villa partly. In especially the first goal, I would say more than the second. I think the second is a little bit harsher, but the first goal definitely, in that I would say that it's bad communication between the centre back and goalkeeper, because you need to communicate. If one of you's going to go for it, you need to declare that, and if you don't, then the other is going to expect that they're going to go for it, and you're leaving it. And I don't know whether they communicated, whether one gave the shout on the other, whether one didn't listen to the other, whatever happened there between Emi Martinez and Pau Torres, it didn't work out. And it ended up that Emi Martinez got the connection, and he didn't make the connection well enough. He palmed it right into the feet in the end of Achraf Hakimi, who gladly took the goal with great pride. And, you know, that really flattened Aston Villa for a while because, you know, when you started the game so well, after the first 10 minutes, they were the better side. By far, I think their intensity was fantastic. Their desire to actually win the ball, you know, the intensity in the press was just absolutely fabulous. And PSG were penned in, you know, they got those early corners, it got the crowd up, it got the atmosphere going. It was really kind of a cauldron-like atmosphere in the first 10 minutes from Villa, and their football was reflecting the atmosphere in a sense of they were really suffocating PSG in those early moments. And the goal just zapped all that away from them. You know, Ashraf Hakimi scoring, it just deaded the crowd for a while. And I think it came as a bit of a shock to Aston Villa that they had conceded. And I mean, overall, it's really poor defending. As I say it again, it's the Villa back four. It's 3-on-2, basically. And Ashraf Hakimi comes around the back. It's poor defending. But it's a good breakdown the left side. Barcola. Again, I said it. Barcola was the outball for PSG in those early moments when they were trying to fend off Villa's attacks that were barraging time and time and time again. And Barcola was the threat. Barcola was always the outball. He was the one with space down that left-hand side that was giving PSG something. He was giving them something to go, let's just settle. Just give them a little bit of early respite. And in the end, he's the one that breaks down the left side, and it turns out to be a goal. Now, Villa really can't make up for the fact that Barcola's not directly involved in ending up putting the ball in the back of the net, but he does get them up the pitch. He does get them that outlet, and it's poor defending. And I don't want to criticise too much individuals, but Matty Cash there, I think, has to come across a lot quicker. He doesn't get anywhere near Bradley Barcola in time, and it's not that he's miles away from him. He is well within reach for a Premier League top defender to get across and push him wide or force a corner, do something to make sure that cross doesn't come in. He doesn't. He gives Bradley Barcola time and space galore, and he feeds it in. It causes chaos, and whatever happens, whatever ensues is unfortunate afterwards. Again, poor, but there are moments to look at. And again, the second goal. We talk about pressing really high, and I said it for Villa. They were doing incredible work, and credit to them in the build-up before the second PSG goal. They pressed the PSG, and they lost the ball in their own box. But what they did was they recovered, but Villa didn't. That's the difference. PSG recovered instantly, got back on the ball and thought, let's harm them. Let's cause a threat. Let's get up the field. Villa were a bit kind of like, oh, well, let's just settle. Let's just settle. And they weren't quick enough getting back. They ended up catching out a 4-on-2. And in the end, you're outnumbered. You're scrambling. You're trying to catch people that aren't there. And Nuno Mendes gets the time and space like any player of professional level would in that sort of area, and it's a fabulous finish. Instep of his left boot, curling it off the inside of the left post. It's absolutely gorgeous goal. But it's really, from Villa's point of view, two very avoidable goals. I mean, the first comes from not closing down the winger quick enough and allowing the cross to come across your own box. The second one just comes from pressing well, penning PSG in, but not having the recovery pace, not getting back quick enough, not covering the spaces, not trying to stop the counter-attack. And they're two very avoidable moments that they will learn from, but it's not about learning at this stage of the game. It's about making sure it doesn't happen and trying to counteract it if it does. And they didn't do that well enough in the first half, and that's why, you know, they are where they are in the game. And PSG, credit to them, they took their chances when they came. You know, they've had 3 shots in that first half, PSG. 3 of them on target. So when they get forward, they're creating chances. You know, they're getting in the right areas, and they're clinical. But the 2 goals from Villa are avoidable at the same time. Both can be equal. Can happen at the same time, if you know what I mean. Together in that way. They don't have to be different kind of explanations of it. They can both be that Villa gave them a good chance, but also PSG were clinical when the chance came. That is kind of, they can be coexistent in that sense. But again, I would say with less possession of the ball in the first half, with less XG overall, Villa have looked a threat. And I think that will be a positive for them. You know, despite conceding those 2 goals, they've got one back themselves. You know, when they will believe, you know, well, we've got one, why couldn't we go and get another? Why couldn't we do it? Do you know what I mean? And I think if they do and build that momentum, you never know what can happen. I'm not saying that they're going to come back and they're going to thrash PSG in the second half, and they probably need to if they're going to go through. But you never know. You know, a goal can come from nothing, and that's what they need to take from that first half. A goal can come from absolutely nothing, and that's both ways. You know, the goal can come from nothing and finish this game completely, because I think if PSG score again, it's done. I think it's done, because it would mean Villa would need to score 5, and scoring 5 against any team in Europe is hard, but against this PSG team would be very difficult. I mean, 4 is incredibly difficult as well, but I think if PSG get another, it is officially over. But I think if Villa come out in the second half with the right mentality, the right vibe, the right idea of going, well, yeah, we might be 3 goals down, we've got nothing to lose, but a goal can come from nowhere. We can create something, we can keep putting pressure on them, and you never know what can happen. And you just got to give them that. But again, you would have to say PSG are by far the favourites to be seeing this through in the next 45 minutes and heading to the semi-finals. But, as I said, it's the Champions League. You never know what can happen. As Drizzler says, are you a Villa fan? No, I am not a Villa fan. But I like to see teams that, you know, this is a Villa team that probably 6 years ago, 5 years ago even, were battling relegation in the Premier League. You know, this is a team that's been transformed in the last 2.5 years under Unai Emery. It's absolutely transformed from a team that were in the doldrums trying to keep themselves in the Premier League to now bouncing back in a Champions League quarter-final against one of the top teams in Europe. I mean, that is transformative at its very best, and I like to see teams doing well, and teams that, you know, deserve to do well. You know, Aston Villa have an incredible history, and they deserve to have it kind of fulfilled every season. And, you know, a chance in a quarter-final of the Champions League, would that have been in the wildest dreams of any Villa fan 4 or 5 years ago? I don't think so. So that's what I love to see. I love stories like this in the Champions League, and that's why we love this competition. It can create things like this in moments like this, and I love it. Absolutely love it. And you never know. Anything's possible. For the romantics out there, it is still possible. But you never know. But it's unlikely. Let's have a look at the other games then, quickly, before the second half gets underway then. Borussia Dortmund leading Barcelona by a 1-0 after the first half there. They've a 3-goal deficit at half-time to overcome, as do Aston Villa. If they both want to progress, Dortmund have a goal. They haven't conceded, which is crucial, and they've probably been the better side in that first half. 10 shots to Barca's 1. Now, of course, Barca don't need to do anything, but so far, Dortmund are certainly giving them something to think about. They need to add more goals, though. A 4-goal deficit is incredibly hard to overcome, but you're 1/4 of the way there, as they say, for Dortmund. A long way to go, though, in that one. That is where that stands. Tomorrow night, Inter Milan take on Bayern Munich after a 2-1 win in Munich last week. Inter would feel, the Italian league leaders would feel, they've got the benefit of the doubt with their home crowd at San Siro tomorrow night. A chance to really face another semi-final. They were in the final 2 years ago, were Inter Milan. They want to get back there and try and give themselves some chance of winning this trophy. They won it back in 2010. They would love to get close to that again, the league leaders in Italy. That's tomorrow against Bayern Munich, against the German league leaders. But it's Real Madrid and Arsenal. That is our focus tomorrow night. Looking forward to that one so much. Real Madrid against Arsenal. However, it is a tough task for Real Madrid if they're to come back. But if there's any team in Europe that can do it, is Real Madrid. Arsenal 3-0 winners from the first leg. Those two Declan Rice screamers giving Arsenal an advantage they could only dream of against Real Madrid before last week. But their dream is a reality, and they want to make sure they get it over the line and into a Champions League semi-final. Would that be the case? Let's see. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock on LFS. Right, the second half at Villa Park's on the way. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Champions League Live. Half-time at Villa Park. It's 2-1 to PSG on the night. 5-2 to the French side on aggregate. But as I said, if there's a will, there's a way. And if Villa have the will to come back and fight in this game in the second half, well, there's a way that it can happen. Anything's possible in football. That's why we love this sport. And nothing's done until the final whistle is blown. And if there's anything for Villa to stifle them and give them a chance in the second half, give them hope, it would be that. 45 minutes to try and reach a semi-final of a Champions League. That is what is at stake here, and that is what Villa need to try and conjure up. 3 goals, at least unanswered goals, if they are to progress. And look at that from McGinn, who's absolutely cleaned out, but he's not going to get the foul. Referee saw it as a fair challenge from Marquinhos. I don't think I agree. He's going to have to stop the game now. John McGinn holding his face. I'd have to see the replay of that. The referee's having none of the arguments. Let's see it again. I mean, it's one of those where Marquinhos is trying to find the flight of the ball, but he's also trying to hold off the man, and he just accidentally catches him. John McGinn's arguing that he elbowed him, but I don't think he did. It's just he's caught him, but accidentally. No malice in it whatsoever, I think, and he's not got away with one. I just think it's not a foul. It's a good decision by the referee. Here's Kvaratskhelia. Per pass, he's really not shown up so far, Vika Kvaratskhelia. The Georgian certainly showed up last week. He hasn't shown up so far tonight. No substitutions at half-time, by the way, in this one. Neither of the two teams made any alterations at the break, so both have 5 substitutes for the second half. 3 different windows to use those substitutes, as is the case in European football. There's a foul there on Achraf Hakimi by Pau Torres. Free kick to PSG. Yeah, Hakimi got the ball around Torres and just kind of holding the Moroccan there, dragging him back. Definitely a foul. PSG get ready to take this free kick. Far right hand side. Just takes the roll. Here's Vitinha. Squares it across now. Mendes. Flicking it over the top. The header from... might have been Pacho. It's cleared away by Tielemans. Now Fabian Ruiz will just give it back to his goalkeeper in Gigi Donnarumma. Well, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. We greatly appreciate it. It really helps the channel continue to grow. And we thank everybody who's joining us tonight. It's great to have you with us for this one. Do get involved in the chat. Don't feel discouraged. Get yourself involved. Anything to say, let us know. Get you interacting. Get you involved. Here's McGinn, lovely first touch. Feeds it out wide to Digne. Luca Digne across, McGinn's header. Over the top and wide. Decent effort. Decent combination down that left side between Digne and McGinn. Lovely touch inside. Takes Hakimi away from him. Has acres of space on that far right, left side. Luca Digne whips the ball in. And McGinn just trying to stretch back to head the ball towards goal. And just goes wide. And there's certainly bodies on the Villa bench that can make a difference. The likes of Ollie Watkins, Marco Asensio, Jacob Ramsey, Leon Bailey. Amongst them in an attacking sense that can all enter the fray and make a difference. So far they haven't looked like they're lacking the quality up front to make the difference. The ball over the top there from PSG will just be eased back to Martinez by Konsa. Pau Torres chesting down that ball. 5 minutes gone to the second half so far. Villa trying to pump it forward again. It's one for Rodgers to chase, and that's going to be a free kick for a push on Willian Pacho. Another player that's had a breakout season, the Ecuadorian Willian Pacho. It's his 14th start this season in the Champions League. He's played all the games so far for PSG this campaign in the competition. So certainly burst onto the scene in a way for PSG this campaign as Willian Pacho. He's done a good job. 4 clean sheets in the Champions League this season for him. He's really got himself in that starting lineup. Forced his way into the starting 11 for PSG this season. Here is Cash. Back the way it comes to Konsa. Ezri Konsa turns back across to Pau Torres, who feeds it through to Rodgers in space. And Rodgers laying the ball off for Tielemans, who couldn't quite find it, but the rebound, Rashford couldn't force it home. And it's all come flailing down as PSG scramble it away, but that was far from convincing defensively there. My goodness. Here's Kamara. There's been some last-ditch challenging from Villa or PSG tonight. That's a loose ball by Rodgers. And now the ball in behind for Dembele, but he's going to be acres offside. The flag stayed down. He's going to allow him to finish it. He's chipped the goalkeeper. He's found the net, but it's going to be offside. I mean, my goodness me, you could see that a mile off. There's about 50 weeks offside there. Well, to be fair, he was on the halfway line, so the linesman didn't want to test it. He did flag it in the end. Look at this defending from PSG. I mean, they're running rings up round each other there. I mean, my God. Gigi Donnarumma throws himself at it, and the bounce of the ball actually takes it over him. And here come Villa now. Cash in the box, trying to drive it across. Cross blocked there. Barcola speeding past Kamara. And it's going to be a foul and a free kick the way of PSG. Cash there. It's not handball against Nuno Mendes. Well defended, really. Definitely PSG at the back have had some nervy moments. Another positive that that Villa can take. Although, look at the mistakes here. Look at the space here for Barcola. Wide open. Here is Kvaratskhelia. Charged down beautifully by Ezri Konsa. Kept alive by Ruiz. Down the left side. Feeds it through to Barcola in the box. Bradley Barcola cuts it back now. Here is Vitinha. High, wide, nowhere near it. Yeah, my goodness. A couple of times PSG have gone long and Villa haven't got the bodies back. I mean, they're taking so many risks, but PSG have almost got a counter on every minute or two. I mean, it's remarkable how open they can be, Villa. Risk reward and all that, though. Because here comes John McGinn striding forward. Look at the space. John McGinn! Oh, what a goal! Oh, my goodness! If there's a way to inspire a comeback, it's a goal right from the top drawer from your captain to do it. Striding 20, 30 yards up the middle, right up the spine of the PSG team, and firing it into the back of the net relentlessly, ruthlessly. Fabulous goal. Gigi Donnarumma didn't even bother diving. He knew it was going to be a goal. And John McGinn thrashing Villa back into this game. What a fabulous goal. That is some goal from John McGinn. He's always got that in his locker. And might that just inspire something magical at Villa Park. Villa 2, PSG 2. PSG lead 5-3 on aggregate. Might get a bit confusing. 2-2. Wow. What a goal. I have to say we've been treated to some top quality goals. And here they come again. McGinn leading the charge. Lots of Villa bodies up the field. Digne feeds it back through to Torres, who steps inside. Pau Torres couldn't quite find the forward pass, and now Barcola trying to alleviate any pressure for PSG, trying to burst away himself here. He's got to the edge of the box. Barcola, well charged out. Fabulously tracked by Matty Cash there. Didn't do enough in the first half in his tracking. He's certainly done it well there. Look at the space here for Rashford. He's took the nice touch with his chest. He's one-on-one. Marcus Rashford. Edge of the box. Oh, what a save by Donnarumma. Fabulous goal, or fabulous save. It could have been a fabulous goal for Marcus Rashford. Struck cleanly through it. And a diving left-hander from Gigi Donnarumma, forcing it over the bar. Well, Villa have been inspired here. And that's an incredible save to deny Villa a third goal. They've got a corner though, which Rashford will take, right-footed. Flicked on, cleared away though. Cash tries to keep it alive and does so, and Rashford takes it down beautifully and spins past one. Rashford into the box, gets to the byline, cuts it back, and it's another one! It's Ezri Konsa! The dream is well and truly alive for Aston Villa. The unbelievable comeback really could be on here. 2 goals in a matter of minutes. McGinn with the first, Konsa with the second, and Villa have the lead on the night. And they're now just 1 goal away from parity on aggregate scoreline. Great from Matty Cash, kept it alive, but the skill from Rashford, leaving Fabian Ruiz for dead, steps inside Vitinha at the byline and cuts it back beautifully for Ezri Konsa to sweetly head it into the bottom right corner with his right foot. My goodness me. This really might be on. I do not believe it, but it really might be on here. Villa 3, PSG 2. It's still PSG lead on aggregate, but the gap was 3 at half-time. 13 minutes into the second half, and Villa have cut that deficit to just 1 goal now. And this place is electric. Villa Park has erupted beyond belief. The roof has come off. PSG, are they crumbling? like they've done countless times before. Is it déjà vu, to coin a very famous French phrase? Are PSG personifying déjà vu again? And our Aston Villa conjuring up one of the comebacks of the century in Europe. They've still another few steps to go, but my God, have they got themselves right back in this tie. And Rashford across, and it's still alive in the header. What a save by Donnarumma. McGinn hits the side netting. Oh my goodness me. Everything is falling at the laps of Villa here. Yuri Tielemans with a looping header, and what a backtracking save that is. If there's ever a save like that, that is incredible from Donnarumma. Backtracking, palming it away from his goal, off balance, and just palms it just enough away from John McGinn to put him off balance. My goodness me, this is all over it as the corner whipped in, and the strike, and the header over the bar. Oh my goodness, what's going on? Aston Villa have been possessed. I don't know what by what, but they've been possessed. I don't know what's going on. I mean, so much has happened in the Dortmund game, but I haven't even had a chance to tell you about that. Villa Park is absolutely rocking. Absolutely rocking. They believe. They really do believe. And why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they believe? Here's Ruiz though. Kvaratskhelia. They hit the hour mark. And it's Villa 3, PSG 2 on the night. 5-4 to the French team on aggregate. And PSG have made a change. Barcola's left the field, being replaced by Desiree Doué. One of the top youngsters for PSG this season, Desiree Doué. One of the breakout French stars. I'll tell you about him and his stats this season in a moment, because PSG are just again trying to gain any sort of control now. They've been absolutely rattled beyond belief in these last 10 minutes. Marquinhos gives it away cheaply, and Villa are not wasting any time, but Marquinhos does well to win it back under pressure. Kamara throwing in a challenge, but a little bit too much of a challenge that time from Boubacar Kamara. I can quickly update you on the Dortmund game. So Dortmund went 2-0 up. Shiru Girassi again with his second of the night to give Dortmund a 2-goal lead, cutting the gap on aggregate to 2 goals difference. But it's been an own goal from Rami Bensebaini that is conceded, and Barca have got one back. So it is 5-2 on aggregate to Barcelona, 2-1 to Dortmund on the night. So Dortmund still need to score 3 goals without reply to take the game to extra time there. Villa need 1 goal without reply to take it to extra time, 2 goals without reply, and they win the tie outright. But here comes Vitinha, who gets the block off Konsa and wins PSG a corner. That's what Villa need to be wary of as well. PSG have still got that threat up the other end, and if they concede a goal, it might just undo all the work they've done to get back in this game. Takes complete and utter concentration between now and the final whistle for Villa to have a chance. Dembele fizzes it back across the shot. Blocked in the box. Now Vitinha under pressure. Oh, he's giving it away cheaply. And has to be forced to thump it out of play for a throw to save his own blushes there. Vitinha, the Portuguese. Here's McGinn. Look at this lovely first touch away from his man. Beaten the second time though. Now the space. Dembele not given a chance at all. Rashford controlled it well. Digne trying to do skills, but look at Doué there. Span away from him. Lays it off to Ruiz. Now Dembele. Through the lines. Couldn't find Doué there. Ousmane Dembele. Back to Emi Martinez. Well, Luis Enrique looks a little bit more nervous than he did at the end of the first half. It's a little bit more antsy, a little bit more worried. Looks like his players are reflecting that as well. Just need to gain a little bit more control, PSG, and settle this game down again, and maybe if they can, try and find another goal. But for the romantics, what a story it would be for Aston Villa if they were to do this. What a story it would be. I don't want to jinx their cause, but what a story it would be. Given away cheaply again from PSG there in the midfield. Kamara couldn't quite squeeze it round the corner. And now a little bit of space here for Ruiz to break forward. Feeds it into the path of Dembele, who's bursting into the box. Dembele, narrow angle, right into the hands of Emi Martinez, who looked unfazed. Yeah, be hard to beat him at that narrow angle there. Even Ousmane Dembele would struggle. And Dembele, one of the top strikers in Europe at the minute, no doubt about it. No doubt about it whatsoever. He scored 24 goals in 2025 for PSG in 21 appearances, which is remarkable. He's got 21 league goals this season, and he only managed 3 last season. So he's got 7 times his tally this season compared to last season. Scored 29 in all competitions in the season. So it's crazy that in 2025 he scored 24 goals, but he'd only scored 5 in the first few months of the season. As Villa are going to make a couple of changes then. Marco Asensio's coming on. So McGinn and Onana are coming off. And Marco Asensio and Jacob Ramsey are coming on. There's another story here. Marco Asensio, 29-year-old Spaniard, on loan at Villa from PSG. Clearly Villa have got clearance to play him tonight against his parent club. Otherwise he wouldn't be involved tonight. He is obviously allowed. That right. Here's a break down the left. Just overrun it there. Marcus Rashford. He's been impeccable tonight. I gotta say, Marcus Rashford, what a performance he's putting in. He is leading that line like one of the best in the world. And that is an unbelievable goal from John McGinn. And then Ezri Konsa's one to give Villa the on-the-night lead. Such composure from a centre-back to take that shot from that distance, in that area, in that moment. The composure is remarkable. And they believe. And I said it, that's all you need. Belief. Belief is enough. PSG have so many scars that if you rattle them, if you scare them even the tiniest a bit, you can find a way to beat them, to overcome them. It's happened so many times. They were starting to think they were cursed, PSG, in this competition. Are they going to overcome that curse tonight? Or will Villa be the next in a long line of teams that have found a way past this Paris Saint-Germain side over the years, that just never have been able to find it, never been able to jump the final hurdle. Here's Ramsey, closed down well by Desiree Doué. There's the clearance there from Marquinhos. One back by Villa. Kamara, though, a little bit caught out. And now the space in behind here for Ousmane Dembele. He's just going to play it back to Kvaratskhelia. Just over 20 minutes to go. Remember, Villa score another goal and PSG don't score. Extra time will be in play to decide a winner, and then possibly penalties. That would mean it would be level on aggregate. If Villa score 2 goals and don't concede, they will progress automatically. And then anything other than any of that happening. Here's a chance! Oh! Good save by Donnarumma. Trying to see who that was. Was it Asensio? I think it might have been. It was Marco Asensio. Got to see the replay of that. Over the top it goes. No flick on. And he's just got a chance to slot it. One-on-one with Donnarumma. Goes with the left and he doesn't get it around the goalkeeper. What an opportunity. The script was written there. It was pre-written that the man on loan from PSG would score against them for the club he's on loan from. My goodness. They've got a free kick though here. Villa. Rashford and Asensio on the far right side. They've combined very recently for Villa for a couple of goals. Rashford leaves it. Asensio leaves it. Rashford does take the corner of the free kick and it's gone all the way through and out the other end. That was some delivery. I think Ezri Konsa was involved there. Let's see this again. Rashford whips it in, right-footed, right across that corridor of danger, and my goodness, Ezri Konsa's about inches away from contact, and that would have been 4-2 on the night. That close. That close. My goodness. Wow. I mean, that was a beautiful cross. Just was gasping. It was gagging for a good finish. And it didn't come. Don't take that out of context. Less than 20 minutes to go. Villa 3, PSG 2 on the night. PSG lead by 5-4 on aggregate. What a quarter-final tie this has been. 9 goals over the 2 legs. 5 here tonight. And it's still not done yet. Neither of these two are done yet. Football Evasivo? I'm guessing that's Spanish. It says, what is your opinion about Rice? I mean, those 2 goals for Declan Rice against Real Madrid last week are 2 of the best goals I've ever seen. That second free kick is one of the best goals I've ever seen in football. It's unbelievably perfect. You know, if you were ever to imagine the perfect goal, Declan Rice's free kick for the second one was perfection. Was perfection. Absolute perfection. It couldn't have been sweeter. Couldn't have been any better than it was. Oh, the referee's had a little bit of a collision there with João Neves. He helps him back to his feet there, the two. He just fell over each other. I mean, well, to be fair, João Neves just runs into the referee. I mean, he's wearing bright orange. He's hard to miss. I mean, I think João Neves needs to go to Specsavers. I mean, how do you miss a referee in bright orange right in front of you? My goodness. It's going to be a drop ball to Aston Villa, of course. Because they had the ball when the collision happened. It would only be right if they would get the drop ball uncontested. A bit of movement on the Villa bench. Aston Villa eyeing up a Ollie Watkins introduction very shortly. That's a lovely ball over the top. It's bounced beautifully. Oh, Pacho's done very well there. Clears it away from danger. It's going to be a throw into Villa. down the left side. Pau Torres winning that throw. Watkins is getting himself ready, tying his shoelaces. Will be entering the fray very, very soon. Well, what a difference that about 20 minutes can make, 20-30 minutes can make. At half-time, Unai Emery was looking long into space, wondering what all went wrong. But come out in the second half, 2 goals out of nothing. Incredible start to the half, and you're right back at it. And he's now geeing his players up to go and get another one. They need another one, Villa, remember. They might be winning on the night. They're not winning on aggregate. And that's what's important in these 2-legged knockout games. As you would know. Here's Ivlla. Great battling from Matty Cash. He doesn't get the foul though, as though he was pulled down. But here's Fabian Ruiz for PSG. Just over 15 minutes to go. And ball over the top from Donnarumma. Again, well beaten out by Lucadinha. Couldn't keep it in there down the left side, Villa. Football Evasivo. Sorry, 2 seconds. I'll get to your comment in a moment. Villa making these changes then. So Marcus Rashford is going to make way for Ollie Watkins, and Lucadinha is going to make way for Ian Maatsen. So Maatsen and Watkins on, Rashford and Digne off for Aston Villa. Looking for that goal, and Ollie Watkins might just be the man to get it. Although, cannot fault Marcus Rashford's performance one bit. Absolutely incredible tonight, Rashford. But Ollie Watkins has only got 1 Champions League goal this season. 1 Champions League goal. And that came in a 4-2 win over Celtic here in the league phase. Here's Dembele dribbling into the box. Dembele! Good save by Emi Martinez. Puts it for the corner. He had a great night that night, Ollie Watkins, against Celtic. 2 assists and a goal. That's the only goal he scored in the Champions League this season. Only goal he scored in the Champions League, period. Corner for PSG, taken short. Ivlla, edge of the box. Lays it off now. Hakimi fizzes it back out wide, but too much. Not able to sustain it at the minute, PSG. Really not able to do it whatsoever. Can you believe the turnaround here? They had 1 big chance each in the first half, these two. Compared to the second half, Villa have had 4 big chances. 4. 9 shots. A 1.47 XG. Much less of the possession though. 6 of their 9 shots on target. 4 big chances. Villa have absolutely pummeled PSG in the second half. And they needed to give themselves any sort of chance. And they have. They've still got 1 more to find. They need 1 more goal to complete the job. And carry it to extra time at the very least. 2 more without reply. And they win the tie outright. Which you wouldn't bet against it from the half they've put in. But you also wouldn't bet against PSG deading the game either, because here's Ousmane Dembele, and there's a free run in the middle. Dembele wants to go himself. That is selfish. He had a man running through the middle, 1-on-1, completely free as a bird. I think it was Desiree Doué. Just needed to play the pass, Dembele, and it was going to be a certain opportunity. And he decides to take it himself and absolutely skies it. Nowhere near the target. Sorry about that. Football Evasivo says, if you was the manager for Aston Villa, would you have started Morgan or Asensio? Well, interesting actually, because Morgan Rogers hasn't been at his best tonight, I would argue. But also, if you were the Villa manager and Unai Emery, I can see why he started Morgan Rogers. He's been in great form, and you want to start players that are in form. You know, I mean, it goes without, it's obvious, but you know, you want to start players that are going to give you chances. I mean, 7 goals and 5 assists in his last 16 games. But here's Asensio. Cuts it back for Rodgers. The two might combine here. Rodgers struck right through it, but couldn't keep it down. The two nearly combined there for the goal. Just as I'm talking about them. But Morgan Rodgers, 7 goals and 5 assists in his last 16 appearances. So, what's that? 12 goal involvements in his last 16 in all competitions. So, if you want a player in form, Morgan Rodgers is your guy. But again, Marco Asensio is that quality player. But also, he missed 2 penalties against Southampton at the weekend. And if I was Unai Emery and I was balancing that out, I would say I'd go with the man who's got the form rather than the man who's missed 2 penalties at the weekend. But again, Marco Asensio's got the quality. I mean, they both got quality, no doubt, but Marco Asensio's got the experience, you would say, more for the Champions League. But, yeah. It was very little between the two, but I would say I would have went Morgan Rodgers just based on his performances recently and his form recently in terms of goal scoring output. Borussia Dortmund have got another one at Signal Iduna Park. Siru Girassi completing the hat-trick, making it 3-1. It means they need another 2 goals to take it to extra time. Dortmund, they need to score 5 without. They need to score 2 more without reply to take it to extra time. It's still a long way off, but you never know. Barca, one of the favourites coming into the quarterfinals to win this competition. They're still in a very favourable position. Nothing can say it's done. No one can say it's done yet there in Dortmund. Here's Vika Kvaratskhelia breaking forward again for PSG. Out wide to Doué. Desiree Doué closed down well on the edge of the box. However, the referee's given a free kick, which Yuri Tielemans doesn't feel is the right decision. A lot of the Villa players don't feel that's the correct decision, and I would have to agree. The evidence on the replay shows that Yuri Tielemans got all ball, none of the man. Desiree Doué fell over him rather than the other way about. I think that's harsh from the referee. He's got a lot of things right tonight. I've got to give him that credit. It's a tough game to referee, a highly emotional game tonight. He's refereed a lot of it well, but I'd say that's one of his first mistakes of the night. We're only human at the end of the day, of course. Could that mistake, could that free kick given, and I think shouldn't have been, might that cost Aston Villa here? 4 yards out. Slightly to the right of goal. It's well within shooting range. Most certainly. It's Nuno Mendes and Achraf Hakimi who's over it. Left-footed strike hits the Villa wall. Bounces back out to Vitinha. Kvaratskhelia now. Out wide it goes. Dembele back to Vitinha, who spins it wide to the right. Doué has to take it down with a heavy first touch, and a bit scrambly from PSG there, and they've given it away cheaply. Here's Morgan Rodgers trying to burst Villa on a counter. He's got 2 options ahead of him. He's gone wide to the left, and it's just undercooked. Undercooked it. Marquinhos, came across, mopped up the loose ball, cleaned it up. Here's Kvaratskhelia, nicely challenged by Cash, but Vitinha has the ball in midfield for PSG. Ruiz over the top, sends Doué on a run down the right side. Trying to break into the box, he still got it, and Martinez needed to make the save, which he did. Yeah, it's Achraf Hakimi, that was down the right side that made the run. That's a good break. Down the left side. Yeah. Gets past Ian Maatsen. And has to make the save, does Emi Martinez, and put it out for the corner. It's PSG's 3rd corner of the night. Not many corners overall, 8 in total now. 5 for Villa, 3 for PSG. Here is Doué. Whips one in. And Kvaratskhelia absolutely rifles that one. Well off target. 6.5 minutes of normal time to go. If Villa want to take this to extra time, they need another goal. There's no question about that. That's as clear as anything. They need to take more risks. Kamara through the lines. Couldn't quite find Watkins. Nicely won back though by Morgan Rogers. He's under a bit of pressure. Lovely little bit of skill. Rogers couldn't get the throw in. It's gone out of play there for a PSG throw in the end. Who do you think will win the Champions League? Well, I certainly had Barca and PSG up there. PSG I had as my dark horses to win the Champions League. I think they've shown some resilience this season that I've never seen before from them, and I would back them against any team in Europe. And then Barca, I think, have just looked like the more supreme Champions League side this season, the most supreme of any Champions League team, and they look the strongest. But both are in not comfortable positions away from home in the second legs, and their characters will be tested. Both PSG and Barca, they'll have their characters tested in these final number of minutes as to whether they can see it through. You know, no one's ever saying it was easy in the Champions League. It's anybody at this stage is capable of beating anybody. That's what we love about it. It's so close, so tightly poised, so evenly matched. But it's about who comes out of those difficulties and who finds a way through no matter what. That's what PSG have failed to do previously. They're only a number of minutes away from eventually having a tough night in Europe and still finding a way through. Unless Villa can conjure something. It was well won by Hakimi there from the long kick. And then Maatsen, a bit too eager to get it back, committing the foul. And they're in no hurry now, PSG, of course. Remember, the winner of this tie will play the winner of Arsenal against and Real Madrid, so we'll see what comes of that one. We'll watch that one tomorrow night here in LFS. Arsenal have a 3-goal lead heading into the second leg of that one after their remarkable performance, probably one of their best ever in Europe for Arsenal against Real Madrid last week. And they have a 3-goal lead to take to the Bernabeu tomorrow night. It's Ramsey up against Doué. Ramsey beaten to it by the youngster. Two young local starlets. Ramsey a little bit older. That's a lovely through ball by Dembele, and Hakimi's broke free here. Good few bodies back there for Villa. Here's Dembele. Now Kvaratskhelia trying to dribble his way through, throwing bodies at it, and Cash comes out on top. That's well worked. Great endeavour from Villa there, not to give up. As Cash clears his lines. Intercepted by Nuno Mendes, and he's going to get the free kick there, but again I think that's slightly harsh on Aston Villa. Slightly harsh on Marco Asensio. Had the ball, he had the ball to win. There's not much contact at all there. I think it's going to be Ross Barkley who's coming on here for Villa. Who's ever an experienced veteran, it's Ross Barkley. And Yuri Tielemans is going to make way for him. So Tielemans off, Barkley on. That'll be their final change for Aston Villa. They try and have one final throw of the dice, Unai Emery. They try and force another goal. Does Real Madrid have any chances tomorrow? Well, look, Real Madrid at home. And if there's any team in Europe, I said it earlier, if there's any team in Europe that can overcome that amount of a deficit at home, I mean, it's PSG, Real Madrid. I think they're the European champions for a reason. There's the ball over the top here, Doué. The flag stayed down. Desiree Doué forces a big save off Martinez. The flag stayed down, which Doué sees a face palm for that. Let's see if he is offside. No, he's on. He is. He's perfectly timed it. Desiree Doué gets in the right space, and it's a great save by Emi Martinez. He had to make it again. This is when you call upon your keeper. When you're taking risks, when you've committed more bodies up the field and you leave the little gaps in behind, the opportunities for the opponent on the counter, you need your keeper. It's a corner taken short. Vitinha whips it round the corner. Brought down by Ruiz. Cuts it back to Kvaratskhelia on the edge. Kvaratskhelia! Just wide. I think I might take a deflection there, did it? It's gone for a corner anyway. Might have took a deflection off Ross Barkley. And it will be a corner. PSG have turned this game into quarter speed, half speed. They are in no rush whatsoever. Doué's now gone to keep it at the corner flag. A little bit early for that, I'd say. They've got the throw in though. 30 seconds of the 90 to go. We'll see how long will be added on, and a timer will officially be put for Villa to try and score a fourth goal and a fifth overall in the tie to try and force extra time. If it stays as it is, PSG are going through. 3 minutes is the number. Is 3 the magic number for Aston Villa? The moment they've scored 3 goals, is there time inside these 3 minutes to find a fourth? But at the moment, PSG have kept the ball right by this corner flag for the last minute and a half, and now they've hampered it because they've just given Aston Villa a throw-in. Now, 2 minutes or so to go. Villa need to get this up the field and need to start testing Gigi Donnarumma now. It's now or never. It is now or never for Unai Emery's team. Can they? Can they do it? That's all I'll say. Can they do it? Martinez with a long kick. Header won by Hakimi, forcing it out for the throw. Still 2 minutes of the 3 added to go. Villa are in hyper speed. It's a long throw into the box, not well dealt with. It's bouncing around. It's cleared away in the end by Marquinhos. Now a little bit of a break on here might be conjuring as Achraf Hakimi was moving, but I think the referee's going to pull it back for a foul on Ousmane Dembele from Ezri Konsa there. Free kick to PSG. It's the future King of England and the next in line to be the King of England. Watch on to avid Villa fans. Prince George and Prince William of England watching on, hoping, praying that their team can find a way. They find a way back into the game, but can they find a way in the final minute to do the unthinkable and complete what would be a comeback? Long kick by Martinez. It's getting to last chance saloon for Villa. All scrambling to win headers. Asensio gets some sort of flick on it. Cash takes a beautiful touch down the right side. Cash across. It's fallen. The shot blocked and cleared away by Pacho. I thought that was the moment. Konsa fires it forward, and then the miscue by Maatsen, and that might be that. It was some effort, what you call an absolute wonder effort, in the air on the volley from Maatsen. It was arrowing to that bottom right corner, and what a block by Willian Pacho. Was that their moment? Was that Villa's chance? I think it might just have been. 3 minutes are up, and they're still supporting to the final whistle, Villa. But the PSG fans look like they might be the happier of the two. come the final whistle. And they are. It might not have been done the easy way, but PSG have found a way, and they're heading to the semi-finals. But by God, did Aston Villa give them a scare in that second half, when John McGinn rocketed in for the on-the-night equaliser, and then Ezri Konsa, composed, swept in for 3-2. You thought they were cascading their way to a comeback, but PSG held out, held on, and somehow found a way through. Villa's dream campaign in Europe is over, but this will not be forgotten for a long time yet. A team that were ranked in pot 4 at the start of this season were a team that weren't even thought of as heading through to the knockouts, but they have, by God, beaten their way to the final 8, and on the night they were held by the finest of margins. They fought to the death, they gave their everything, but sometimes you just can't get over the line in Europe, and tonight is Villa's first taste of that for years. They want to be back here next season and get another taste of it, and there's a chance they can do that through their league position, but it has been some run in the Champions League for Birmingham's biggest club, and one of the biggest and sleeping giants in English football. Final score at Villa Park: Aston Villa 3, PSG 2 on the night. PSG win 5-4 on aggregate. Oh wow, just wow. What a night, what a night. It was a night of opportunity for Aston Villa, and they almost completed it. They almost got over the line. But in the end, it was PSG that found a way, and probably for the first time in a while for PSG, that they have had to fight, had to do it, and actually found a way through. Time and time again they've fallen when it's got tough. They've fallen away, but tonight when Villa asked them questions, they somehow found a way through. And that's all it takes in Europe. It's just finding a way through. That's all that matters. And that is all that matters for PSG tonight. They're through, and they will face either Real Madrid or Arsenal in the semi-finals. And you can watch that game with us tomorrow night here on LFS. Real Madrid against Arsenal. 3-0 advantage for the Gunners to take into that one tomorrow. But if there's any team in Europe that can find a way back in a position like that, it's Real Madrid. And we'll watch them and see if they can conjure up some sort of comeback. They've done it many a time before, but they've never done it 3-0 down from the first leg. It's never happened before for Real Madrid. But as Carlo Ancelotti said, as Jude Bellingham has quite clearly said, there's a first time for everything, and those Real Madrid players believe. And we'll see how they react tomorrow night. We're going to stay with you actually for a moment, because Dortmund are still leading Barcelona by 3-1, but they need 2 goals in the final seconds to keep it alive. It looks like Barca will be joining PSG in the semi-finals, of course, on the opposite sides, and we'll show you the bracket and what way the bracket works out for you in a moment once we get the final score from that Dortmund game in a moment. We will see. Just wait on the final whistle there, and it is gone. Dortmund are out, and Barca are through. So Barca's hopes of a treble season are still very much on. They're leading La Liga, they're into the Champions League semi-finals, and they're in the Copa del Rey final. Of course, they're very much having a great season, are Barca. Arguably the best team in Europe at the moment. But they were beaten by Dortmund tonight. Shiru Girassi with 3 goals, a hat-trick for him on the night for Dortmund, but it wasn't enough to see them through in the end. Neither was Villa's 3 goals to see them through either. Right, let's have a look at the results then, and what they mean. So Villa 3-2 winners tonight, but of course that deficit from the first leg just too much to overcome. 3-1 for PSG in the first leg, so it finished 5-4 on aggregate overall in PSG's favour. And for Dortmund, they had too much to do. 4-0 down from the first leg. 1-3-1 tonight, but they needed 2 more goals to take that to extra time. So it was just too much for those two teams. Returning back to their home grounds, trying to conjure up a comeback. But the two sides that had the lead from the first legs, and convincingly, PSG and Barcelona, two of the best sides in Europe at the moment, and they're showing why, and they're into the semi-finals. Tomorrow, we watch two other sets of, well, one that's very close and one that's a lot less close in terms of our quarterfinals. Inter Milan have a 2-1 lead heading into that game against Bayern Munich tomorrow at San Siro. They might be eyeing up another Champions League final. They were there in 2023 and narrowly beaten by Man City. They want to get back there again at Internazionale. And then Real Madrid against Arsenal is our focus game. They're tomorrow night on LFS. Right. Now, let's show you the bracket then. Now, this is the bracket, of course, deciding who plays who. So, PSG are through in that top left corner, as you can see. So, they're into the semi-finals. They will play the winner of Arsenal or Real Madrid. Now, Arsenal with a 3-goal lead. You would say they're the favourites, but you never know. It's Real Madrid. They've come back from deficits before. It's not impossible. So we'll see who they will play in the semi-finals, but PSG are through, as are Barcelona, and they will play either Bayern Munich or Inter Milan in the semis as well. So it's PSG and Barca that are the first two to book their places in the semis, and we'll see which two will join them tomorrow night. Thanks for your company tonight. It's been a great night. It's been thrilling. It didn't end the way for Unai Emery and Villa. They didn't quite find the revenge 8 years later, did Unai Emery against Luis Enrique, but they weren't too far away. They certainly fought to the death, and they gave it all they could. Their dream season in Europe is over, but they want to be back here again, and they have a chance to do it. Unlucky for Villa tonight, but credit to PSG where credit is due. They deserve the result tonight, PSG, and they ultimately done the business in the first leg and meant they just needed to get it over the line tonight, and they did. Congratulations to PSG and Barca. They're into the semis. For Villa and for Dortmund, it's commiserations, but both won tonight, and they can possibly get back here next season with their league positions. Thank you very much for watching. It's great to have your company tonight, and we hope to see you tomorrow. Night night.